Let's talk dragons. Yep, that's it. That's the end of the video. I'm done. I already got it. I'm good. But in all seriousness, a lot of people have asked me genuinely this question on top of everything is that are you a fan of dragons after all? And and they ask that because I like Smaug is like half my fucking name. And to be fair, I've never answered that question for a long time. Only up until now. Um, and that answer is a complicated one because when you think about people that actually are fans of Dragon's entirety, you're thinking about mainly the people on Twitter who, well, on top of the fact that you like Jurassic Park and all the dinosaur shit, they like dragons but only the How to Tame Your Dragon dragons. And I'm not going to make an argument that that's a bad thing, right? But that just seems overrated. I'm so, like, not to throw any diss at the How to Tame Your Dragon dragons because a lot of them are very interesting and are very cool to talk about. But in all seriousness, I'm so sick and tired of Dragons fans only talking about that series. And I thought to myself, thinking about this whole video in its entirety, and I go, well, Smaug's the first half. What's the second half of my name? Dungeon Master, right? And so I thought, putting as many brain cells as I could put together, I decided that I wanted to talk about these dragons, Dungeons and Dragons. Because I get that some people have already talked about these things already about the game, but I mean, come on. These are like the predecessors for Fantasy Dragons in all honesty. Um and they're the reason kind of why I got into the game is as a whole is because half the name of the fucking game is based on these things. So, and of course, there's a lot of people already out there that have already talked about in extents about these dragons anyway in the game. But I might as well just throw my own opinion into the ring because I played with dragons for so many years. I've had to use a lot of dragons for many years, and there's actually a lot of interesting dragons in this series that never, ever, ever get talked about. And they only bring up in like one video, which is really done, but let's just make it easier for everybody else to understand, okay? So I'm going to throw in my own opinion, and this whole video is just going to be dedicated on talking about dragons from Dungeons and Dragons.
Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!
Chromatics, aka the color dragons, aka the evil ones. So the chromatics are essentially your basic bitch D&D dragons overall. Not to say that they're bad or anything, because a lot of them do make good villains in your campaign, but they are quite overused. They are really used like a lot. Like even hell, the game that I'm currently playing with another group, I know, God forbid I'm not a DM at anything, or DM at least for this one occasion, had an actual red dragon in it, even though the whole focus of the game was not even on the dragon. It was on it's on an archlich. Oh. And I think a lot of y'all can already know which game I'm playing. But that's besides my point. Chromatic dragons, they're fine. They're your again, they are your essential fantasy dragons. And these are the dragons that in Dungeons and Dragons you're going to be encountering a lot. So I'm not going to try to like over explain everything. I'm just going to try to give general gists for these guys as well. But first, we need to talk about a certain devil in the room. No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about her. No, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about her. Tiamat. Or, as my one buddy likes to call her. Can you tell me again, what do you call Tiamat?
Tiamani. Wait, are you recording?
So yeah, Tiamat is the dragon goddess of evil dragons. So all the chromatics kind of worship her. Except they don't. Funny enough. No evil dragon actually worships Tiamat. The only set of people that worship her are a set of human cultists who are trying to bring her back that are called the Cult of the Dragon. And here's the ironic part about these assholes is that the fact that Tiamat literally hates anything else that's not a dragon. So these dumbasses are trying to raise her up from hell into the mortal plane, only for her to just get rid of them after the fact. It's so dumb. And the reason why my buddy likes to call her the thing that he likes to call her is the fact that she has 5 dragon consorts in her palace that she constantly mates with until they're no longer of use and then finds a new one. This is actual D&D lore. I'm not making this shit up. Oh god. And all of her consorts are basically all of her respective heads, which this dragon goddess has 5 of heads. In which, by the way, if you get hit by all 5 breath attacks on Tiamat, you supposedly die. There's nothing that stops you from dying from all 5 breath weapons going off at the same time. Which, that is quite scary. And the reason why I say that she's a devil is actually technically because she is a devil. And let me explain why. So Tiamat used to rule the first layer of hell in D&D, which is Avernus. It's called Avernus. Until Asmodeus, the literal Satan of D&D, basically just said, fuck no, I'm ruling all 9 hells. And so he beat the shit out of her to a point where she is now basically a guard dog for the rest of the levels. She got promoted to leading hell and turned into a guard dog. Oh. A very powerful very powerful Suberus, by the way, but still, being promoted from leading hell into just being a guardian for the next layer is kind of sad. But that's enough about her. Let's get straight into the actual point I want to go with all the chromatics.
People of Iman, Thordek demands capitulation. Submit to the Cinder King.
What can I say more about Reds? Other than, what's the first thing you think of when you think of a dragon? Right? Just close your eyes, think about it. Literally. What's the first thing that comes into mind? A reptilian that has 4 legs, wings, and has a fiery breath, and not only does it cause destruction throughout the world, but also is greedy as fuck. And in some cases, like in older stories, they basically kidnap women only to eat them later. And if you thought of any of that, then you're thinking of a red dragon. And there's nothing wrong with red dragons, because they are essentially the most powerful chromatic you're ever going to fight. Like, an ancient red dragon is scary as shit. Let me tell you that. Like, I can bring up a couple of examples of how strong reds can truly be in D&D. Hell, there's a red dragon in D&D that learns a spell in which he basically, casts a spell on other dragon eggs, using their energy to empower himself for like 30 minutes. And he's basically untouchable for those 30 minutes. But then he immediately runs off as soon as he's done. It's like, oh my god, he's killing babies just to get stronger. This is just the Dino Strat in Yu-Gi-Oh! But all memes aside, there's another couple of red dragons I can bring up. Smaug, obviously, even though he's called like a fire drake in the fucking films and in the books, I mean, come on, let's be for real. He's either an adult red dragon or an ancient red dragon. The former in which I think that's a lot more appropriate considering, you know, how Tolkien was trying to write his campaign. Oh my god, I'm gonna turn the Hobbit video into a Dungeons and Dragons video. I swear to God, I think that's gonna happen. But even still, there's other dragons out there. There's the red dragon that's in fucking Shrek, for goodness sake. I mean, she's a fucking red dragon. Then you've got, arguably, probably my second favorite dragon of all fucking time, which is Thordak, aka the one that, the Vox Machina crew had to fight in their campaign, who was empowered by the fire elemental plane because of that stupid gem. But holy shit, was he awesome. And by the way, the voice actor who portrayed him, may he rest in peace, but holy shit, just brings a ton of menace into this dragon. And that's what I love about red dragons so much. They are just power-hungry a-holes. And yes, sometimes they do kidnap women. It's still weird that they do this, but they do. And they just... You can't go wrong with a red dragon. Even fucking Thembershard from the D&D movie was funny as hell. And that's a dragon that's been pampered all of its life. That's why he's so fat. Jesus Christ. But you can't do anything wrong with a red dragon. You can't fuck up a red dragon. You just can't. You can't. So I took a quiz. Because I was genuinely curious. Actually, I took 2 quizzes because, and you'll see later why. But I took a second quiz to see which chromatic dragon I would be. Now, you would make an argument that I would be a red dragon. Look, I'm Smaug, you know, I should be a red dragon. But no. But no. Turns out I'm blue. I mean, just look at the fucking shirt I'm wearing. But in all seriousness, it makes a lot of sense why I'm a blue dragon. Which is ironic, to say the least. But if I were a dragon, I would be flying around a whole lot more often. I would be an incoming storm. Y'all would know that I'm coming up on your ass. Like, I'm not trying to hide nothing. I will be honest, and I'm coming for you. And blue dragons, they tend to live in deserts, which, funny enough, if you kind of know me in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, all the themes I really like from that series are Badland or desert themes. So that makes sense. That makes sense. I don't know why I do, but I just do. I like those themes. But that's besides the point. That's another besides the point. But blue dragons, you know, being in an environment that, quite frankly, not a lot of the D&D universe is set into, sadly, they're actually highly sociable. They're the most social of all the chromatics. So, despite them being evil, they're still evil. They actually give a shit about others of their own kind. And actually, they're the most caring of their own young, which is really, really funny. And a lot of the time, especially if you're going after a blue dragon's horde, they will covet any type of magical item. Now, all dragons are going to covet magic items and gold, right? That's what they do. But blue dragons in particular really like collecting magical artifacts. So, more often than not, especially if you're in my games, if you're going up against a blue dragon and you go into their horde, you're gonna probably find a lot more magical items in it than gold. Because that's what they tend to collect more. That's what they value more. Is like, they want to keep all the magic to themselves. It's like, yeah, okay. But blue dragons, they have this lightning breath, which is insanely cool to play with. And overall, blue dragons are just, they're cool. I do like blue dragons to an extent.
You can keep your fancy ales, you can drink them by the flagon, and the only brew for the brave and true comes from the green dragon.
Greens. I'm guilty here in admitting that I do kind of like green dragons. I do. And this stems all the way back to when I first started DMing. You see, I used to run D&D games all the way back in high school, and green dragons were essentially my favorite ones to pick on first, because they live in forested environments, and though I didn't really play up to their personality, I'm going to talk about it here. So, green dragons, imagine this. You know Odin from God of War Ragnarok? Yeah. Imagine that personality, but put that into a dragon. And that's a green. Greens are manipulative as shit. Like, literally the first line Mimir says in that whole damn story is the exact same logic you could apply to a green dragon. Like, if they tell you snow is white, they are still lying. They're lying about something. And this is what I find so hilarious, is because greens can also be petty as hell. Like, they plan out an entire fucking scheme that you had no clue. You would have had no idea that is how it would have worked out. And a lot of the time, too, funny enough, greens will actually task adventurers to do shit for them without the players even knowing. And this is why a lot of people play greens, is because they are manipulative, evil pieces of shit. And I love that. I love it. But the main reason why I played them so much, like, in my early days of D&D, is because of their breath weapon. Now, FBI warnings all aside, let's talk about these breath weapons, shall we? And I'm gonna probably talk about this for another breath weapon as well, which, don't worry, that one's coming up as well. But for green dragons, if you ever wanted to know what gas they spew, it is a concentrated gas of chlorine. It's chlorine gas they breathe. And if you've ever watched the Vox Machina show, you'll know exactly what I mean. It has the same damn effects as chlorine does. Which is terrifying, by the way. That is terrifying, to know exactly which chemical you're using against your players. It's like, oh fuck. Oh fuck. So, and this is also how I found out, that chlorine gas is flammable. Flammable! And a lot of what my earlier players would do, actually, is they would do the following. They would see the green dragon breathe gas, they would make the Constitution saving throw against it, and then they went, I lit up my lamp and just opened up the flames. And that's how I found out that, again, chlorine gas is flammable, and as soon as fire is exposed to it, boom! Just a big explosion, and they would blow up the dragon using its own breath. Which, You know what? You know what? I have to give it to my older players. I have to give it to them. They were smart as fuck. That's smart right there. And you know what? Just because of all the good times I had with a green dragon all the way back then, that's why greens... I still like talking about green dragons. But now that I found out about their manipulative personality... Why are we playing with that shit? Oh, whites. White dragons. I love you, but for multiple different reasons. But you are absolutely hated by the D&D gods. I don't know why. But white dragons I find very, very fascinating. Because, first of all, let's get this all out of the way. They are the weakest of all the chromatics, sadly. And this is mainly due to their own personality, which, let's get into that personality, shall we? They are the most primal of all the chromatics. And what I mean by that is that they 100% more or less rely on instinct. Now, not to say that whites don't have the capability of using magic, because, let's be frank, all dragons know how to use magic, but whites tend to beat you down with their claws and teeth before doing anything else. They rather bite at you and claw at you than use spells against you. And they have the intelligence of literally an elephant. So, yeah, imagine an elephant with wings and an ice breath. Yeah, that sounds terrifying. But also, I love a white dragon's ice walk ability, where basically any icy terrain, which is its preferred environment, just forget it. It's never gonna get tampered by that shit. Only your players get tampered by that crap. And what's even better is white dragons can cause that icy field anyway. So they can just beam their ice on the ground, so your players start moving around and shifting around like, oh shit, and then the white dragon comes in and it's just like a normal floor to them. It's fucking awesome. But yes, white dragons rely on instinct, and they only know things that they themselves have experienced, and that's it. So that's why I say that they have the personality of an elephant, because elephants only learn from what they experience. But again, you know, if you piss off an elephant during mating season, yeah, it'll still kick your ass. It's like, white dragons are still dragons at the end of the day, and they can still kick your ass. But due to their primitive personalities, which I actually adore that, I love that about them, they are the weakest of all the chromatics, which just sucks. It sucks! Because Voragol is like a perfect example of how you write a white dragon. He's just a big old dumb brute, but I love it. I love that. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with putting a white dragon into your game. I mean, unless he's found in some environment that he's not favored, then that's kind of awkward.
You've come to deliver a vestige. How generous.
I want you to picture this. This dragon is the epitome of a Florida man, but he has the mental personality of a 12-year-old edgelord. That's black. Those are black dragons. Yeah, black dragons are sadistic as fuck. Like, oh, they like to torture you. And, I mean, for fuck's sake, their head ornament is shaped to look like a skull. Like, they don't give a shit. They are literal 12-year-old edgelords, but they're Florida men at the same time. It's insane what blacks are. And, by the way, not only do they live in swampy environments, which, hence why I said Florida man, and they're natural swimmers and basically will hide under the water and sneak up on your ass. But here's the second FBI warning, by the way. Their breath weapon, their acidic breath, is concentrated hydrochloric acid. So, and the best part about it is they leave pools of that shit in their lair. So they'll basically just pick up somebody and drop them in there. Or they'll, like Umbrasyl in the fucking Legends of Vox Machina show, they'll literally just throw down acid rain. And that rain is hydrochloric acid, by the way. So yeah, that shit hurts on contact. Oh, fuck. It's like, yeah, black dragons are sadistic as hell. And, oh my god. Like, I've never really ran a black dragon in any of my games. Because of this reason. Because they like to torture. Because they are so difficult to deal with. They're not as tough as reds or blues and sometimes greens, but they're still strong enough to kick a party's ass. And I argue they're a lot scarier than whites because at least with a white dragon you at least have a chance. Black dragons, they don't give you that chance. I mean, hell, an ancient black dragon could probably kick a Tarrasque's ass by just spewing that acid breath onto it. It's like, what? Like, the strongest monster in D&D can still get its ass kicked by a black dragon. That should be enough said. And literally, these are all the 5 main colors that you're going to encounter. All 5 of these things, you probably encountered at one time or another. And I'll be honest, a lot of the other colored dragons, there's a reason why they're not in the game, is because a lot of them are just so damn similar. Like, I'm not about to go talk about gray, purple, brown, and yellow dragons because they're all pretty much the same fucking thing. All of them live in either a mountainous area or deserts, and all of them get their asses kicked by blues and reds on a daily basis. So you hardly ever see these things. You hardly ever see them in the game. And otherwise, like, a DM's just gonna throw in, like, the other regular chromatic dragon anyway, just to fill that slot up. It's like, what do you want me to do? However, there is one more color I want to talk about.
I hung up on her. Not good, no. She called right back and she goes, "Did you hang up on me?" I said, "I don't know. It sounds something like this, click."
You heard me right. Pink. And there's a reason why pink is not a thing in D&D anymore. So, originally, pink dragons were only found in Dragon Magazine. And to quickly sum up this whole thing, Dragon Magazine was a magazine issue series, like, all the way back when 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons came out, where they not only added new monsters into the game, they added new campaign settings for your party to play, like all one-shots and shit. And they basically talked about a lot of the ecology and biology of certain monsters in the game, which is awesome, by the way. That is absolutely cool-ass information. But that's besides my point. So, there's this one issue in Dragon Magazine where it was a whole fan submission issue, which, side tangent, this is the same issue that Pink Dragons debuted in, is the same issue that, I kid you not, someone introduced Blink woolly mammoths into the game. So you mean to tell me you made Blink dogs, but you turned the dog into a woolly mammoth? Genius! And I almost want to give that man a fucking high five for making that idea, because it's so dumb, I love it. What's next? A Displacer Smilodon? And they're natural enemies with Blink woolly mammoths? Oh my god! I can't! I can't! I love this shit. I love this dumb shit. But that's besides my point. So this issue of Dragon Magazine introduced pink dragons. So pinks are essentially fan-made. And, their whole existence for a pink dragon is literally to be the best comedian in the realm. I'm not joking. I really wish I was joking. But let's get this all out. Like, let's get that mate. That's the big thing about them. Is that they live to find the best jokes and to perform those jokes in front of an audience. And that's it. It's like, oh my god. It's like the most oddball of all the chromatics. And you don't put it in the main fucking game? Come on, the roleplay potential. It's so funny. Like, literally, you could make, the DM could make a bunch of dumbass jokes, and the party has to laugh at them, or otherwise there's a dragon that pops up and eats them. And this is the best part about pink dragons, is that they are the only chromatic dragon that's not evil. Sorry, I just... Whew, fuck, I needed a minute. Ooh. Yeah, they're only chaotic neutral. And the only reason why they'll ever pop out of their humanoid form is to eat somebody. And that is it. Oh, by the way, which this is another big thing about chromatic dragons, they are not able to transform into people. I know. You've been lied to in Vox Machina. You've been lied to. You've been probably lied to in my D&D games. But in actual Dungeons & Dragons lore, no chromatic dragons can actually transform into humanoids unless they use the polymorph spell. And a lot of the time, they don't even want to do that, because that's stupid. Even to a chromatic dragon, they're like, that's stupid. The fuck? Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to use polymorph on myself to be even weaker, and I can't even use my breath weapon against these assholes that I'm trying to deal with? That's why I find it so funny that pink dragons, they have this capability of transformation all on their own, and the only time that they ever appear is to eat the audience because they didn't laugh at their joke. That is it. And that's what I love about that. And here's another thing that I really love about them, is their breath weapon, funny enough. It's the breath weapon. So, do you remember the pink bird from Angry Birds? Yeah, just turn that bird into a dragon. And that's a pink dragon. Literally, it's a bubble attack. And there's only 2 effects that happen with these bubble beams. Right? So, the dragon literally just throws bubbles in your face. And so, first of all, if you've never experienced the pain of bubbles being in your eyes, I commend you for never feeling that pain. But if you have, then you will understand that it will blind you for at least a minute, and that is it. The breath weapon does no damage, it just blinds you if it hits you in the eyes. That is it. Oh, and also it makes sticky terrain all around itself. But that's it. The breath weapon does nothing. No damage. No damage. Which is what I find amazing. It's the one breath weapon I think I've seen in this whole entire game that does absolutely nothing to you. It does nothing. It doesn't deal really any damage, and I love that out of pinks. And I wish a lot more people can just appreciate this dragon, because, oh my god, it's basically a joke. It's a joke dragon, and you could just randomly throw it at your party and they wouldn't even notice. But unfortunately, that title goes to another fucking dragon. that's used a lot more often, and I just like, ah, man, it sucks. It sucks, but if you ever wanted a funny-ass dragon to be in your game, at least try the pink. Try a pink dragon, please. I beg you. I will be trying pinks from now on. Just please. Oh. But now let's move on to the next category of dragons, shall we?
When you think of Mr. Satan, listen to me now. You need never feel broken again. Sometimes darkness can show you the light.
Metallics, aka the good dragons. So these are the dragons that you're most likely going to encounter if you're ever going to want to face off against a chromatic. You're always going to want the help of a metallic dragon, because chromatics and metallics are literally mortal enemies. They literally kill each other on sight. Like, that's not a joke. That is in the lore. And their dragon god, Bahamut, and no, I'm not talking about the demon lord. Bahamut literally looks like just a more powered up version of a silver dragon. Which, alright, that's cool. And here's the thing about metallics that I found out. Let's be honest. 2/3 of all the metallic dragons that are in Dungeons and Dragons are basically paladins. They're paladins. Like, they're... And this is probably why I don't run, metallic dragons in my games, is because what the fuck is the point? Just send in a regular mortal paladin. You don't need a dragon that's basically a paladin. It's cool and all, but, like, they either turn into a big paladin in the group, or they turn into the guild's bank. That's it. That's all the metallics are used for. And it's just sad, man. It's sad, dude. But anyways, let's get right into them, because I'm gonna try to not talk about all the metallic dragons. I'm just only gonna talk about the few that I genuinely like.
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait, so remember when I said in Blues that I took a quiz? Well, turns out when I took that original quiz, my personality happened to be gold. Oh, how cute. And so, gold dragons are essentially the strongest of all the metallics. And their whole shtick is going after assholes. They go after evil. That's literally their life purpose, is to vanquish evil. Which, okay, they like remote areas, and the reason why they have anime powers. Oh my god, they actually do have anime powers, my god. So gold dragons, essentially, they're basically the most eastern of all the metallic dragons. And the main reason why that is because of their most distinctive feature is their whiskers. They're the only dragon that has these. And if you know mythology, a lot of dragons that have these whiskers are only found in Asian cultures. So it's the most eastern dragon in all the game. And to be frank, like, their sense of justice is insane. It is insane. So it goes up to a point where if a gold dragon ever joins your party and you do some deplorable shit, the gold dragon actually turns on the party instead, because he's like, hey, yo, what the fuck? And then he just vanquishes the party for it. So this is why a lot of people don't pair up with golds. And look, I'll be fucking straight up honest. I know I go after CinemaSins' ass, and their bullshit. That is very, very true. But I don't think... I think I'm a lot kinder than most golds, because, when I know there's somebody evil that's within my Discord page, I'm usually, like, very forgiving. I'm very forgiving sometimes, and that's not really the personality of a gold dragon. But even still, I do want to talk about the breath weapons on these things, because metallics, curse them, have 2 different types of breath attacks. Which, why? Why do chromatics only get 1, but metallics get 2? That's not fair! The fuck? That's not fair, what the fuck? So golds, they have... Not only do they have this fire breath attack, so yes, this is going to be the closest thing that I'm going to be for a red dragon, but they also have a weakening gas, which basically just weakens the stam of everybody, and then they just fly off, usually. So, and you know what's also cursed about metallics? They're the only ones that naturally are able to transform into humanoids. It's like, what the fuck? So, you mean to tell me that chromatics not only are not able to transform, but they also have only 1 breath? Bro. Just make an evil campaign and just have the entire party just face off against metallics, see how that goes. I'm fucking done.
Hey son, I wanted to talk to you. I know religion's important and all, but I think you might be taking it a...
Now that I talked about me as a dragon, let's talk about Swords. And Swords has reminded me several times that he is indeed a silver dragon. Now, silvers, they still have some sense of justice, right? They still want to go out there and defeat evil, like golds, right? But silvers are a lot more reserved in a way in which that they're like, I'll defeat evil, but I like to be asked out first. And no, I wasn't thinking that way, you fucking weird-ass people. Jesus Christ. No, literally, a lot of the time, adventurers will go out and seek a silver dragon. And once they, ask the help of a silver dragon, they'll usually help out. And especially when the party does some questionable shit, the silver dragon will at least be reserved. And he'll be like, okay, well, that was weird, but, okay, at least it's going for a noble cause. Like, a silver dragon might question a party's existence, but is not gonna go against them like a gold dragon would. So at least there's some forgiveness in that. I like the fact that they live in layers of clouds, so big, aka, they basically they live in Sky Tower. Like Rayquaza does. It's awesome. I fucking love that shit. And, oh, by the fucking way, this is what I love about this, is that white dragons, the second they find out a silver dragon is in their territory, they fucking book it. They leave. And I just find that so funny, because even white dragons, this is why, like I said, what I said about whites, is that at least they'll know when they'll get their ass kicked, and they don't want that ass whooping. Which I just find so hilarious. I really, really do. Fucking white dragons just like, smells silver. Well, fuck that. Nope. Because in all honesty, silver dragons can actually still beat up a red dragon. And this is mostly due to the fact that they have, a lot of adventurers coming up to them and asking them for help. And usually sometimes a silver dragon will just ask a party to do this, and they'll accompany them along. And that's why I like silver dragons too, to an extent. The only problem is, is because of their metallic nature. The second they see that red dragon, all bets are off. Like, they do not think. Like, the second a metallic dragon sees a chromatic, all bets are off. They are killing that chromatic no matter what. It is a kill on sight. It's that, and that is their personality, which is insane to me. And that's really their only downside, is that they still will attack a chromatic if they see it. Like, there's no hesitation. But other than that, their icy cone, their cold breath, and their paralyzing gas that they spray, yeah, they're kind of cool. It's cool. I can see why Swords totally is a silver dragon. I can totally see it.
I'm sorry, the position of annoying talking animal has already been taken.
Since I brought up dragon in my Red Dragon segment, let's bring up Donkey from Shrek. Imagine putting Donkey into the game. And you're thinking, well, wouldn't it be funny if we turned him into a dragon? And they were like, oh my god, let's make him a metallic dragon. And everyone in the boardroom said, that's it. He's brass. We got a brass dragon here. So brass dragons, I kid you not, are the literal epitome of they won't shut the fuck up. They do not stop talking, like, at all. Which is funny, because I love Donkey. I do. Donkey is, like, my favorite character in Shrek. But even every now and again, that could be annoying. And they're not even annoying with just other humanoids that ask for their help. They're annoying with everything. Like, they'll talk to plants, they'll talk to animals, they have to talk to something. They literally have no capacity to shut up. Like, quite literally.
You have the right to remain silent. What you lack is the capacity.
I mean, I love that type of their personality. And again, they live in the same environments as blues. But still, man, at least another thing that I really, really love about brass dragons are their breaths. Basically, a sleeping gas and a fire breath. Two breath weapons that I can't disagree. I can't disagree on that shit. Although, I will throw in one more metallic. And it's a metallic dragon that I don't see a whole lot of people talking about. But for a long time, this is a metallic dragon that I've always wanted to put into my games, but I just never had a good opportunity to put it in.
I think you're crazy, just like me.
Ooh. If you knew anything about Mercury, like the element of Mercury, then you know this dragon's personality. Like, this is the only metallic dragon that's actually sets its entire personality on the metal that it's made out of. And by the way, this thing is still scary as fuck to me, because this thing is literally insane. Like, it's still chaotic good. It's still a chaotically good dragon because it's still a metallic. It's still good. But literally anybody who even approaches this dragon turns insane because of the mercury it has. And because it's a mercury dragon, it's also insane because that's what Mercury does. Mercury makes you go crazy. And the reason why I wanted to play Mercuries for so long is because they are that cool. Like, they're mentally unstable, but they're still a good dragon. It's like me, wow. Did I just make a joke about myself and not even know? Oh my god. But in all seriousness, they, again, the element that they're based on is a neurotoxic metal, which, again, please don't ever encounter this shit. Like, prolonged exposure actually does break a lot of shit in your system. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. And, funny enough, guess what mercury dragons spew out? Pure, white-hot mercury. Ooh, that shit hurts too, by the way. It's like, mercury overall, like, is a metal you don't want to fuck with. Any type of tampering you do with mercury can screw with you. It just does. Oh, and by the way, what's even scarier about mercury dragons is that they can just dissolve into a liquid form and move around their environment. Ooh, thank God they're not evil. Oh my God. Just imagine. Just imagine that shit. You have a dragon that spews a hot metal out of its mouth, which also, by the way, is poisonous. And it's spewed all over its body. Not only that, but it also goes into a liquid form and just zooms around as if it was liquid mercury. This thing's fucking insane. Both its personality and what the dragon is itself. Both of these things are insane, which is scary as hell.
The music's contagious. Gem is my name, no one else is the same. Gem is my name.
Okay. Yes. This is indeed a category in Dungeons & Dragons. So, gem dragons are kind of neat. They are. And Sardior being their god is... okay, he's actually kind of cool. The only problem is this. And this is a little bit of a history lesson for you guys. So, gem dragons were only introduced in Fizzbands for 5th edition. And here's the problem with this. This book has been, like, criticized by a lot of people as non-canon. Because it changes too much lore in Dungeons & Dragons for it to count. Yet the gem dragons are in this book. And this is only another problem with 5th edition as a whole. And this is why it took me so long to get on the 5th edition hype train. Is because, you know the thing about gem dragons? You want to know what their special abilities are? There's a little something called psionics. Now, if you've ever fought like a mind flayer in D&D, which, by the way, that's already a scary villain on its own, which they literally have an ability where they're like, they wave their hand around and all your brains are melted. That's not even close to what these things can do. You're like, when you fight a mind flayer in 5th edition, you're playing the preschooler's version of a mind flayer. Oh, my sweet summer children, you have no idea how crazy psionic spells used to get. And there's probably a reason why they've never been introduced in 5th edition, nor will they be introduced in any other edition after this. Because these were a thing all the way back in 2nd edition advanced, and by the fucking way, this shit gets scary. There's literally spells in here that are way crazier than that brain melting spell that mind flayers get. And just to give an example, there is a spell in which you can have your body in the material plane. It's like a psionic spell, right? Your main body's in the material plane. But you could send your consciousness into another plane of reality, as if you are physically there. And that's just probably a 5th level spell, I believe. That's a 5th level from psionics. Can't imagine what level 9 spells for psionics look like. And to give you a nice example, how about casting a giant communication spell, like telepathy, to thousands of people? And this is not in just one concentrated area. Oh, no, 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 no. This is almost like half of the world can hear what your message is saying. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't that sound broken? And that's the problem with Gem Dragons in 5th edition. They don't have these spells. Sadly, there's no psionic spells. So basically, for 5th edition, they're a downgrade to what they originally were. And this is probably the reason why I didn't use Gem Dragons, because it's like, well, you have the chromatics, and, well, I mean, these guys are neutral. That is, like, their big thing, is that these are the most neutral of neutral dragons. But if you don't have the thing that, like, the key opponent, like, the key component that makes you unique in the first place, like, if you don't have the thing that makes you unique, what the fuck is the point in you existing in 5th ed? There is no point to gems. Are they cool? Yeah, I mean, if you want a dragon with a particularly different personality, sure, gems can do it. Gems will work. Because some gems actually could make interesting villains. But at the same time, they don't have the thing that makes them really unique to other dragons. And so it's sadly a downgrade. I mean, I'll still talk about these things because some of them are kind of neat, but at the end of the day, what the fuck is the point in having them in the game anymore if they're hardly ever used, they're found in, like, very odd places in D&D, and they don't have the thing that makes them unique. I'm sorry. Just not having psionics in 5th edition is mainly the reason why I stuck to 2nd edition advanced for so long. That's literally the only reason. Well, let's just let's just get straight into them, shall we?
Kicking up dust wherever we go. I can see that you and me are gonna be friends.
Crystals. Okay, these ones are pretty neat. They're the most friendly of all the dragons. Like, they literally will be like, hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, yo. Which I kind of like about them. They are really, really friendly. I mean, unless you start fucking around their territory, and then they'll kick your ass. But they're like me. They're nice and kind and friendly to everybody that comes in. It's like, there's no hard feelings, bud, right? You know what I mean? The thing that makes them really unique, though, is when they age. So when a crystal dragon turns into an ancient crystal dragon, the crystals that align its entire body, which I think are like quartz crystals, I believe. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a gem expert. Let's put it at that. But as they get older, they become more and more invisible because the gems that align their body become a lot more clear to a point where they're almost see-through, which is kind of crazy to think about it. They learn a natural greater invisibility as they age, which is cool. And another thing that I really like about crystal dragons is the fact that because they live in cold environments, like along with silver and whites, they will actually take white dragon eggs and raise them as their own, just to get the evil nature out of whites, which I think that's genuinely sweet. That's sweet. You're trying to turn a white dragon into a good dragon. Okay, that's kind of you, but futile. Futile, but it is a nice try. I will admit that. I'll admit it. I mean, they do throw glowing shards, which, first of all, the shards kind of hurt as much as getting a scrape cut, but they really only hurt when the sun is beaming on them, because, crystals that shine in light, they hurt your eyeballs. But this is where I get to start talking about a lot of the different psionic spells, because, again, these are what gem dragons are known for. They're known for using psionic spells in battle. That's their whole point, right? So, crystal dragons, they have a little ability called Ego Whip, which basically saps you of all of your pride in fighting this thing. So it literally just throws a magical, like a mind whip at you, and just basically drains you going, oh well shit, I don't think I can beat this thing. Fuck that. But then, also I get to talk about the other spells that it has, which is, detect, thought prevention, which allows it to just not be looked into with what it's thinking about, and, mind shields, which basically is a shield spell, but just blocks your mind, which is really neat. They have a lot of abilities that just make them, prevent people from attacking their brains, and, a lot of observing shit. That's usually what gem dragons are known for, is a lot of their abilities revolve around protecting their own minds, but then also knowing things. And that's not necessarily a problem, but, crystal dragons are just a good start. Let's put it at that. That ego whip is unique to them, in a way.
Not every bad day can become a good day. Some days are fucked and cannot be unfucked.
Emeralds. First of all, there's only one emerald dragon that is the strongest of all the gem dragons. I'm not saying that emeralds are the strongest. There's another type called amethyst, which I won't be talking about. But amethysts are technically stronger than them, but the actual strongest of all the gems that are in the monster manual is an emerald dragon, funny enough. And their whole personality is, those wise sages in, Asian movies? Right? Imagine that. But first of all, he's paranoid schizophrenic, and he's a dick about it. And he's a dick about his knowledge. And that's an emerald. And those are emerald dragons. They basically like to hoard knowledge. And for anybody who is seeking their wisdom, they'll just be ass backwards about it. They'll be a little ass backwards about telling them that information, just only to protect themselves, because they're worried about everybody else coming to get their info. I do like the fact that they do live on tropical islands with volcanoes. So that's literally any tropical island. Which, oh my god, I don't know why they had to make the justification, because it's every tropical island has a volcano on it. What the fuck? But these guys have so many abilities that just prevent people from just even trying to touch this thing. Because not only do they have similar abilities to crystals, but their breath weapon is basically a very loud wail sound that they produce, which is interesting. They're not hit by force damage, or aka they're not dealt by physical psychic damage, which is interesting. And again, a lot of their ability surrounds on spying on information. They have telepathy, they have, again, clairvoyance. They have, They even have, like, seeing, like, truth, like, they have true sight, and they have, like, true scent, which is interesting. And again, a lot of their psionic abilities just surround the fact that they are paranoid. Like, they need to know everything, and then hoard it for themselves, because they're thinking everyone's out to get them. Emerald Dragons are just a unique case of, what if a wise sage just hid in a closed room and said, no, go away.
Hindenburg against the Tsar, moving 12 battalions large into a Russian countercharge.
Okay, hear me out. So, I have my original D&D players, right? And then I always have a hard time figuring out what their characters should be like. I mean, there are some that I could probably pick that, you know, I can put a particular dragon to. Like with Kenny. Kenny's probably a crystal dragon, all things considered. He probably is a crystal dragon. Valamir, I don't know. Valamir's the only interesting case, because he's technically a blue dragonborn, but I mean, he's not really a blue dragon. I mean, he might be a silver dragon, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, he's probably more of a gold dragon like I am, to be quite frank and honest. But for Canada, there was no shock as to what dragon he would be. And that's a sapphire. And sapphire dragons, all they care about is military tactics. They have the military autism, is what I'm saying. And that's the only reason to ever talk to a sapphire dragon. And literally, if you talk about like anything else to them, they're like, the fuck? Can you go away? I'm not interested in your bullshit. Like, the only reason to ever seek out a sapphire dragon is for military advice, and that is it. Which is what I love about them. Like, you can literally put them into the campaign, and they're like, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. Now leave me alone. And they live in the Underdark, too, which is interesting. They're the only type of dragon that lives in the Underdark, and it's like, okay. You need military tactics in basically a place of evil. That makes sense. They have a psionic breath attack, so they just basically use their voice. They shout. Much like emerald dragons, they shout at you. And mainly their whole deal is, again, that physical psionic spells. So that physical psychic damage is what they do. They do force damage. So if you ever pitted up an emerald dragon and a sapphire dragon together, yeah, that's an even fight because they can't do shit to each other. Damn. Sadly, rubies are the only ones that we know the least about, because the only ruby dragon that's allowed to exist is the gem dragon god himself, Sardior. And it's like, okay, cool, but technically in the lore, there are more rubies. Where's our rubies? Where the fuck are our ruby dragons? The hell? So, yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about ruby dragons here in this segment. The only thing I can tell you is, other than the fact that they know psionics and they're still a gem dragon, and I could probably make you an argument that they're like the second strongest because, you know, their literal god is like a ruby dragon as well. But their main ability that they have, their breath weapon, is a metal melting breath. So this is a breath that's so hot that even fire-resistant magical items will get burned by the breath weapon, which is insane. And the fact that they even live in the same environments as red dragons, funny enough, is crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. But that's all that's really known about ruby dragons. It's like I wish there was more, but there's not. And that sucks.
Aren't you supposed to be extinct?
You heard that right. Obsidians, which are by far, I think, even stronger than all the other gem dragons, are technically extinct. Wait, what? So, obsidian dragons are absolutely batshit insane. First of all, they're the only evil gem dragon. And their lore quite literally states that Sardior found out about the obsidian dragon ambassador doing some not so savory shit and basically condemned the rest of the obsidian dragons out of his court. And that's it. And then literally there's nothing else. Like, I kid you not. All we get about obsidian dragons is this. There's one issue in Dungeons & Dragons magazine, all the way back then, when they introduced obsidian dragons into the game and made a whole campaign about them, like a one-shot campaign on an obsidian dragon. And then they got released in 3rd edition as a stat block, and that's it. What the fuck? And what's so crazy to me is how insane these things are. First of all, I don't like using number crunches in D&D. I just don't. I don't like using stat numbers to explain things. But when you have a monster that at ancient status has a 30 intelligence just all on its own is insane. And given the fact that they're neutral evil means that you could play up an obsidian dragon as like that evil mastermind in your game. So, right, like you can have the main baddie right there, right? But you can have an obsidian dragon working at him in the background just to make him do smart decisions. And that is awesome. That is awesome, by the way. And obsidian dragons, this is why they're so rare, is that they're technically only found in the elemental plane of fire. And yeah, they could plane shift into, material world every now and again, but that's where they usually stay, is in the elemental plane of fire. And, yeah, you bet your ass that their main psionic abilities are 2 things. Number 1 is plane shifting. They love if they ever encounter people to just plane shift them into the elemental plane of fire without them ever coming back. Which is evil. That is so evil. They just boop and then and they're just dead. 1 minute you're standing there fighting a dragon that's basically sort of easy to hit. Next thing you know, you're burning to a crisp. Because you got plane shifted. Oh my god. But their other psionic ability revolves around, funny enough, amplifying their breath weapon. I think this is like the only dragon I've seen in D&D that basically all it does is amplify, like, all the spells it uses amplifies its breath weapon attack. So, the atomic breath, the quote-unquote atomic breath that Thordak uses in Vox Machina to blow up Emon? Yeah, imagine that being the regular breath for an obsidian dragon. And to that I say, good luck, motherfuckers, trying to beat that shit. Because that only gets amplified with their psionic spells. Basically, they turn their breath from blue to white with how hot their breath weapon gets. Just forget it. Forget it. Not only are they like super intelligent to a point where they've made up schemes before you can even think in that moment, but their breath weapon is so damn hot, it's even hotter than the concentration of the sun being thrown in your face. It's like no wonder why Sardiar didn't want him in his court no more. They're too powerful. They would go up against him. That's why he kicked them out. They're too strong. But there's more to talk about.
Comes from Mother Nature, and from first-hand experience, I can tell you now she's an absolute bitch. Shut up, bitch.
So now, you're probably thinking, wait, catastrophe dragons? I never heard of these. What the fuck? And you know what? You know what? I said the same thing before I did research for this video. Yeah, I did research. Shut up. So, catastrophe dragons are really, really interesting because literally out of universe, there's two different explanations I have for them. Out of universe, the boardroom for D&D was like, hey, they pulled up the Weather Channel and they're like, hey, what if we turned a natural disaster into a dragon? And everybody went, oh my god, let's do it. In universe, these dragons are essentially powered up by elemental powers. And depending on what you go with, they were either A, soaking, like they took in some power from the elemental plane, or B, they basically rejected any dragon god that's in existence, or any god for that matter, and went with the primordial gods. So basically they're the ones that created the elements. Either way, these things are insanely powerful, and it's crazy that nobody's ever used these. I might actually be using them in a campaign every now and again, actually, because it's funny. And the only reason why you or I have never heard of these things is, well, they were in 4th edition. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about 4th edition quite briefly. So 3rd edition happened, and so 4th edition got released afterwards. Now, the reason why people don't talk about 4th edition is, well, 2 reasons. Number 1, they changed a lot of lore in Dungeons & Dragons to a point where it broke the continuity. And second, they changed a lot of gameplay rules for it. So it made 3rd edition even worse than it was. And this is why nobody remembers 4th edition, because they went to Pathfinder instead, because that was a more stable system. Still kills me every time. But yes, 4th edition did exist, but a lot of people completely forgot about it because it was such an awful system. But don't get me wrong, there was still some cool shit that came from 4th edition. These are like the one things. But also, if you ever seen the Yeti entry in the Monster Manual for 5th Ed, and you see that it has horns, yeah, that was a 4th edition thing, too. There's no explanation as to why Yetis have horns now. They just do. And it's like, Well, let's talk about these dragons, shall we?
Burn it down, burn it down. Burn it down, burn it down.
Volcanic. Where have you been all my life? Oh my god. A dragon that's literally imbued by the elemental plane of fire. And typically, a lot of the time, it is a red dragon. So, I mean, I fucking know. But volcanic dragons are just disgusting. They are disgusting how they play. So, first of all, just being around them is a problem because they spew out noxious and toxic gases like as if you were in a volcano. It's like, oh boy. So not only that, but every step they make causes a fissure to open up into the ground. And those fissures, by the way, get filled up with lava, in which that lava, to an extent, heals the volcanic dragon. Yeah, you heard me right. It not only will put players into those pools to watch them burn, but it also heals the dragon. Fuck my life. Fuck your lives, I guess. But not only that, it has one teeny, tiny, little ability I really loved. I really loved this shit when I read this. And this is probably the reason why I like volcanic dragons now. Is that their claw attack, if it touches you, you lose your resistance to fire. And that's with anything it touches with its claws. Any claw attack that manages to hit you, your magic item, or hell, if you're a tiefling, tieflings have that natural ability to resist to fire, you lose it if you get touched. Which, that is so evil. I love it. I love it. I mean, granted, I didn't read it all the way, and it says it basically gives it back to you after a minute, but like, losing your fire resistance against a dragon who's literally made of fire and is going to be spewing fire breath at you in that time before you can get your resistance back is insane. It is insane. That's insane. And I love it. I love it. It's like, fuck you. And this is why I honestly like volcanic dragons as a whole. It's just, they are so damn scary. It's so damn scary. I love it.
Finally breaking, where are you now? It's been such a long time, I've tried to live without.
Alright. Here's the sad part that I didn't tell you about. The other catastrophe dragons really don't have too much lore to them, sadly. Because they were in 4th edition, not too much is known about them, sadly. And that's not an exception for the next 3 that we're going to talk about. But at least with Earthquake, I do have something to talk about. So, basically, if you want to summarize Earthquake dragons, they're basically a Tarrasque. They're just a lower version of a Tarrasque. Actually, they probably are the same level as a Tarrasque. Because, for one, they have no breath weapon, which is disappointing. And the only time they ever come into attack is they attack from underground and they cause tremors. That's it! That's all they do. And then when a fight gets too difficult, whoop, they burrow right back to where they came from, and that's it. It's a little disappointing, like, you know, maybe have them throw boulders or something. Maybe there's like, maybe it has a lot higher of a defense because it's made out of rock. Like, something, anything. Anything for earthquakes. No? Just basically throw a Tarrasque at your party? Then just throw the Tarrasque. God damn it, earthquakes. I wanted to love you, but I can't. I just can't.
But it's the pain that brings my force of nature back to life. I'm a tornado. What a step that I left by.
Tornadoes. Okay. They're really, really cool. I like the design. I like this. At least they shoot out a lightning breath. Thank fuck for that. And they're basically, they never stop. These are dragons that just can't stop moving. Because it's a tornado. It's a tornado, what did you expect? And, again, that's really it about them. I mean, other than the fact that they will lair from time to time, but it's only for a brief moment, and then they'll just go back out and do their own thing. So there's no real horde for a tornado dragon, it just happens. You know what I mean? Like, tornadoes, like, their design is interesting. Hell, earthquake dragon designs were really cool. But for tornadoes, you know, that's it. Like, once they come in and attack, that's it. You know, if they die, they die. If they don't, they're still gonna go on. I mean, you can probably make a whole campaign surrounding a tornado dragon where the party has to stop it, but the look is cool. The idea was kind of interesting, but it just fails in execution. Man. Alright, Typhoon Dragons. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, now we're talking a little bit. So, Typhoons are slightly better. They will capture sailors out in open waters. They basically have grappling whips of wind that they'll use to fling people. And again, they'll just use tsunamis. They basically create tsunami waves to destroy ships. But that's really it. I'm not even sure if they have a scalding breath or something. Because they're just made out of pure water, and it's like... It's like, damn. It's like... Here's the thing about Catastrophe Dragons, like, as a whole. Like, why does the Volcanic Dragon have so much lore to it that made me fell in love with it, but the rest get no love? What the fuck? Like, why? Why? I want to use the other ones, but I just can't. Because they're not good enough. There's not enough info about them. It's like... I'd probably make like a whole separate video, like maybe discussing how you could use Catastrophe Dragons. But like... It's so disappointing that they were in an edition that nobody even remembers. And that there's just... You could basically use something else in their place. But, like, come on! Like, the idea was there. The idea was cool. Hell, there's not even that many. There's like, what? Like, a few other ones that I'm not gonna discuss here in this video, but like... God damn! Like, you could throw any natural disaster and turn it into a dragon. And that idea was cool. That's cool. It's just, the execution, I don't think, was good enough. And again, they were in an edition that nobody gave a shit about. So that's why, sadly, Catastrophe Dragons are fucked the way they are. Man. Alright, can we just talk about other dragons, please? So these are the oddballs that don't necessarily have a category to their own, or otherwise these are just other types of dragons that I really, really want to talk about. It would not be a Smaug the DM video if we didn't talk about Jurassic Park in some capacity. Yes, amber dragons are a real thing, and I fucking love this. So, not only are they neutral in nature, they're also like one of the few dragons that are pure vegetarians. Which is really neat, because the only thing that they eat is tree sap. They basically drink maple syrup and then spew maple syrup as their breath weapon. Which, first of all, that breath weapon is hot as shit, and then it basically locks you into amber. That's cool. Alright, okay, that's interesting as hell. But I think there's a lot of interesting things about amber dragons. They're pretty much solitary. They live in forests to get their tree sap from. And the only set of people that they really talk to are druids. That's it. I mean, and the only thing that they really care about in their forest, or in their territory per se, are plants. And that's probably the one thing I don't like about them, is that they're more plant people than animal people. I am of the latter. I am more of an animal person than a plant person. But amber dragons are plant people. I mean, yeah, they'll still technically care about the animals in their environment, sure. They're like, but they're more like, they're just there. I mean, if a lot of them start getting killed, then I'll notice, but like, somebody touches this fucking tree right here, your ass is grass. And not to put any spoilers into the Jurassic Park game that I'm working on, but there might be an amber dragon that is on Isla Sorna's redwoods. And that dragon might have possession of something that the party might really, really want. But that would be spoiling a little too much, I think.
Open up! It's time for the pill!
Oh, barnacles, I hate the pill.
Okay, another really, really interesting one that I was like, okay, this one's kind of cool. So, pearl dragons are basically just really thick boys. And they basically live in underwater caves. They do. And not only do they actually have a scalding breath attack, so they are like a, what is it? What's the best way of putting it? They are like a Scaldrin from, like, How to Tame Your Dragon, except their entire body's covered in pearls. So, a lot of them are kind of paranoid about being near human civilizations because they're like, well, my entire body is made out of pearls. They can use me. Fuck. And so, what's really neat about them is not only do they live in an ocean environment in which they hunt sharks as their main food source, which, okay, that's pretty cool. But not only that, but they have a natural ability to blink 6 times a day. Now, if you don't know what blink is essentially a spell in D&D where you basically do a mini teleport. You teleport somewhere so that you are not hunted down. And that's what pearl dragons like to do. As soon as somebody comes into their lair and sees them, boom, they blink out of there. Which I think is really, really neat.
You know who I am, you can try to play pretend, but I'm somebody you can't ignore.
Yet another thing you weren't going to escape from me. So, what's the best way I could describe time? Time dragons are, well, the epitome of fighting primal Dialga. Oh my god, that fucking Emerald Tower, man! Oh, I still can't beat this shit.
But Dialga's not going to make putting the time gears in easy for you two.
Huh?
Dialga will come at you as hard as he can to try and stop you.
So what should we do?
You'll have to knock Dialga out.
You're kidding! Knock out Dialga!
But yeah, time dragons are essentially a type of godlike dragon. Like, they're almost to the level of a demigod, if you will. Because, well, they live in planes of existence where they're very hard to reach anyway, and their main focus is on the protection of time itself. So, yeah, they're kind of OP when you really think about it. And not only do they have that demigod kind of mentality, but their breath weapon is also broken. Because they have 2 breath weapons. I know I made fun of having an evil campaign where you're going up against metallics, but this is even worse. This is worse. When you have a dragon that its first breath weapon causes you to just disappear out of existence for a few minutes, that's broken. That's already broken. You have a breath weapon that, if you get hit by it, you're just gone. Fuck that. Screw that. So not only that, but its primary breath weapon, so the disappearing one's its second breath, technically. The primary breath weapon for a time dragon is its aging breath. And there is no magical fix to this breath. You get hit, you age. Everything you're wearing ages. So, you can actually technically die from old age. From just getting hit by this breath weapon. Which is... it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And there's no magical fix to this aging unless you cast the 9th level wish spell on it. Which is insane. That's just broken. Like, thank God these things are fucking neutral. Otherwise, your party is screwed if you're going up against a time dragon. Again, like the same reaction to me fighting Primal Dialga. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. And that's just getting through the dungeon portion of it. When you actually get to fight Dialga, just fuck this shit, man.
Y'all ugly.
Mists. So, these are interesting. Because for the longest time, these are what I believed were the most Eastern type of dragons. Are mist dragons. Because, well, given their name, they have their natural ability to just boop. Is just a bloop and turn into a mist. Like their literal namesake. And yes, they are basically sages too, but the thing about the difference between them and emeralds is that actually a mist dragon might be willing to help you so long as you don't creep up on their ass. So long as you don't scare them, they're actually willing to help you. If need be. Which is, cool. Alright, I kind of like that. Their breath weapons, they have 2. Dear God, what is with me picking dragons that have 2 breath weapons? So, not only do they have a scalding breath, because, well, they throw scalding mist at you, but also they have a noxious breath. They basically just, if you hit with this breath, you feel nauseous. So you start throwing up all over the place, which is just, it's gross. Gross. But, okay, fine. Whatever. But another big thing that I actually found out is they have a personal vendetta against greens. They fucking hate green dragons. If there's a green dragon in their territory, they just kill it. Which, I mean, I don't blame you. If you have a manipulative prick that's in your backyard, yeah, you're probably gonna want to kill him. And there are some stories of mist dragons trying to work with greens. But because a green manipulates them into doing something stupid, the mist dragon's like, you know what, fuck your bullshit. Like, even mist dragons just hate greens. They try to work with them, and they just can't. They can't do it. They can't tolerate their bullshit. Which is why I gave the Odin example for greens. Like, at a certain point, you have to go up against Odin because he's just a downright evil manipulator. Like, it is what it is. Yes, shadow dragons are the worst, and I can see why, because I have run shadow dragons in the past, and literally their only way that they're created is if they're in the Shadowfell for too long. That's it. It's any type of dragon. Any dragon that's in the Shadowfell for way too long. So you know Curse of Strahd, that whole campaign? It's in the Shadowfell. So basically, what I'm implying is that silver dragon is probably eventually going to turn into a shadow dragon. Which is... Oh... That's not good. Ooh. Because not only is their breath weapon a breath of shadows, which is just nasty to get hit by because it causes necrotic. It causes necrotic damage. Like, anything that gets hit by necrotic is just, ew, no thank you. But just like a Mercury dragon, if there's any little teeny tiny, and this is the big condition for shadows, if there's even a little teeny tiny space of shadow in their environment, they could dip their whole body into the shadow. And that's probably why they're so scary for even Durnstein to fight them. And he played back originally in 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons. I can't even imagine throwing Durnstein at a Shadow Dragon in 5th edition right now. He'd be fucked. He'd be fucked because he's already like, yeah, no, I'm out. Sorry. Because I don't even know what you do up against a Shadow Dragon. They're that OP and they're that scary to fight. Just fuck it. Good luck even trying to hit one. Dear God. But that's all I really had to talk about for at least all the true dragons. Everything I've talked about up until this point are all technically true dragons. So these are dragons that are classified as a dragon, if you will. Let's move on to the next category of D&D dragon types.
Dragon tales, it's almost time for dragon tales.
Okay, lesser dragons. These are, well, they're dragon-like, but they're not technically a dragon, if you will. It's one of those weird cases where it's like, they technically have the abilities of, they have some abilities of a dragon. They kind of sort of look like a dragon, but they're not really a dragon. And I'll try to breeze through these as quickly as possible because there's not too many of these lesser dragons, in all fairness.
I'd rather play chicken with the Mamba.
Wyverns. The OGs. I mean, unless you want to talk about the lore in which dinosaurs were turned into dragons, but that's besides my point. Wyverns are the epitome of full-on primitive dragons. And, they're famous for a reason. So not only can these fuckers actually be tamed, they're the only real dragon that can be tamed, but also it's because of their stinger. Their stinger is infamous for being the worst type of poison, or really venom, that you can get hit by in Dungeons & Dragons. It's right up there next to a purple worm. That's how strong this venom is. So, a wyvern stinger, it produces hemotoxic venom, which basically, let's put it into regular animal speak, is a venom that basically destroys your blood cells. And at that rate, it just goes to your heart and, well, you die. For a wyvern venom, you get hit by that stinger, it's a tar-like substance. So not only is it a hemotoxic venom that basically just destroys your blood, but also your blood starts spewing up tar to a point where, like, your entire body is, like, spewing up black tar and you just die. It's like, holy shit! Like, that shit alone, from the stinger of a fucking wyvern, is scary. Like I said in the intro part, yeah, I already played Chin with a Mamba. That's already, and Mambas are already scary shit. Alright, let's go from scary to actually something that's kind of cute and funny. Fairy dragons are dragons that are basically found in the Feywild. And, well, they are interesting, to say the least. Because there are some fairy dragons that actually do get onto the material plane, where they are in, funny enough, jungles. Jungles are their favorite environment. Or tropical rainforests, which is really, really neat. I do kind of like that out of fairies. But fairy dragons are known pranksters. So basically, just imagine a tiny butterfly that talks like Muscle Man from Regular Show. Oh my god, that actually is really, really funny. You could turn it into a green, because the way that fairy dragons work is that they age differently. And you'll know the age of a fairy dragon based on its color. But make it a green fairy dragon, and then make it sound like Muscle Man. Damn it, I can see the jokes coming in. I can see them coming in. That is funny. You know... Oh my god. The DM is crashing right now because there's too many jokes.
You know who else out out during a Swiss game? My.
That's fairy dragons. Oh dear god. Oh dear god. But, the one thing that I really do like about them is they crave sweets. They love any type of sweet food. Their favorite, actually, being apple pie. Like, they'll go crazy over that shit. And I love that. That's actually pretty funny. That the best, like, the way that they even prank people is to help them get some sweet shit. Which I find that really, really funny. They prank people to get sweet food from them, which is really, really damn funny. And considering that they are a type of creature from the Feywild, they're technically immune to any type of spells. They are immune to magic, period. The only way that you can truly kill a fairy, like a Feywild creature, or a fairy dragon in this case, is through physical attacks. Which, I mean, why the fuck would you want to do that other than just being annoying? But, like, come on, man! They're tameable so long as you know, produce a lot of sweet foods. Which they'll just eat and they'll be like, I'm your best friend now. Which is really, really cute. I do kind of like that from fairy dragons. Ooh! Pseudos! Basically, just smaller dragons. What more do you really want me to say? I mean, it is adorable that they're basically cat-sized and, you know, you can carry them around on your shoulder, and they basically act mostly like a red dragon. Like if you had a red dragon whelpling around with you, that's a pseudo-dragon. Which is very, very sweet. But the only thing that I really, really want to talk about pseudo-dragons for is their mating ritual. So please forgive me. But when pseudo-dragons want to mate, and this is every 3 years or so, all of them go to one spot and they just go at it. They all mate with each other for literally 3 days. You know, like those garter snakes that you see in documentaries where you see like 5 to 6 or 700 fucking garter snakes in one spot just to mate with each other? That's the same thing for pseudo-dragons. The only difference is if you go in there to watch or stop the mating ritual during that 3-day period, all of them instantly turn in your direction and start killing you. Which I think is really, really funny. I find that absolutely hilarious that all of them will just turn to look at you and murder you. Just for, how dare you just look at the mating ritual. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. But yeah, pseudo-dragons are just excellent familiars to have, and you know what? I find that whole mating cycle to be really, really funny.
I like turtles. All right.
Dragon turtles. Look, I won't be blunt. I'm gonna be blunt with all of you with dragon turtles. I can see the appeal of having a giant turtle destroy your ship. I can see it. And you know what? There are people that do like these things. And I'm not going to bash you for it, because they do like hoarding stuff. And, well, they do have a scalding breath at least. Just nice to see. But, as a DM, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you here, and I don't mean to be mean or nothing like that to DMs who like running Dragon Turtles, but I'm going to be honest. It's the cheap man's version of a Kraken. Because, you know, if you threw a Kraken at your party, they would just get instantly killed by it. So you threw in a Dragon Turtle instead. And what's weird about this, too, is that there's an entirely separate monster that at least I've known about in 2nd edition Advanced, where I think that's even funnier. So, instead of you see the shadow of a back of a turtle just coming along, and it pops up from out of the water, and it's just a dragon turtle. So it's basically just a big, angry Archelon, in all honesty. How about this instead? Your ship goes passing through the ocean, and you see out in the distance that there is an island. And for some odd reason, this island is coming directly towards your ship. And it's not only till you realize at the very last second that there is a turtle head that pops up from this island and crashes your boat into it. That's more funny than throwing a dragon turtle at your party. Sending a literal island at them. Sending a literal island turtle up against your ship. Or you can just go like me and just throw a kraken at your party. It's like, they're already expecting a kraken. Like, why get rid of the kraken fight if your party wants to do the kraken fight? Let them do it. And again, I think the only reason why a lot of players or a lot of DMs don't run krakens is because they're slightly overpowered. They are. I won't lie to you. They are a little OP, but like, if your party wants to do a kraken fight, let them do the kraken fight. That's what they're expecting. They're not expecting an angry Arcalong to come along. Like, the only other reason why you would ever throw a dragon turtle at your party is to make a joke about Mighty Nine. Because in that game, Matt Mercer liked to throw dragon turtles at his party, and all they would do is just polymorph it into a regular turtle. It's like... Then just... If you're gonna throw a sea monster and they're just gonna polymorph it into a regular turtle, like... What's the point? What's the point of having a dragon turtle? It blows my mind. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect any DM that likes these things. But for me personally, dragon turtles just suck. Let's move on, shall we?
I'm a winner. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here.
Okay. So now that we've gotten through the lesser dragons, let's get into basically the Troodon category of dragons in D&D. These are basically, well, I like to call these two different other categories. One category is, well, basically dragonoids that have dragon blood in them, so they're basically humanoids that have dragon DNA in them, and all the undead dragons. Because why have a category of undead dragons? Just put them under miscellaneous for God knows what reason. Dear God. Alright, but at least I'll try to be more descriptive in this category, because there is a lot of interesting stuff in this category.
In their tongue, he is Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
Dragonborns. The player's option if they want to play a dragon. And technically what Valimir is in the game. He's a blue Dragonborn. So if you ever want to know what Dragonborns are like, Valimir is your good example. But interestingly enough, I'm not interested in like the player mechanics behind them, but we'll talk about them briefly. Depending on what type of dragon that your Dragonborn is, you get their respected breath weapon. I mean, it's probably at like 1/4 the power of the breath weapon, but you get the dragon's breath weapon nonetheless, which is still cool. And surprisingly enough, a lot of Dragonborns can be clerics and paladins. And I'll talk about this right now. So, yeah, their lore is actually more interesting than being a Dragonborn itself. So, technically in D&D lore, these guys are aliens. Just let that sink in there for a second. So, Dragonborn were essentially a race of, and forgive me, YouTube, for saying this, alien slaves. They were a race of alien slaves from an alternate reality where dragons basically ruled everything. And so the Dragonborn were basically created their image, and they worked for the dragons. And, of course, these dragons have no respect for them. And so once certain event in D&D, I think it's called a Spelljammer, happened, Dragonborn were then able to teleport into the Forgotten Realms, aka the setting for Dungeons & Dragons' main setting is where they're at. And of course they have no respect here either because they're still technically a dragon, but the reason why a lot of them did convert into clerics and paladins is because a lot of them did want to worship Baphomet, which is really cool. I like that. The only problem is that all the options that you can get for Dungeons & Dragons are, well, they're only chromatic Dragonborns. Sure, there's player-made versions of gems and metallics, but all the options that you can get from the main player's handbook are all chromatic. Which is fine, but it's like, what if I don't want to play as an evil Dragonborn? You know what I mean? Because here's another double-edged sword. A lot of Dragonborns do get to be villains in games. Because, you know, racism is still a thing in Dungeons & Dragons somehow. Oh my god. But no, Dragonborns are just cool on their own. They are cool on their own. They're a very fun race to play as. Like, if you want a good race to play with for Dungeons & Dragons, Dragonborns are the way to go. I do genuinely like them.
You did! I love him! I win!
You know what? For this segment in particular, I will be asking a friend of mine to cover this segment, and that'll be it.
Do you mind if you just talk about kobolds for me? Since they're your favorite race.
They're one of my favorite D&D races. They're like a social species that does a lot of communal stuff together. They eat communally, they sleep communally, they drink water communally. It's like they're a very social species, and that's very fun about them. Another thing I like is that they are sticklers for safety, because the way their warrens are set up, like the whole cave is set up for them, and their traps are built specifically to get rid of invaders, and all of the beams are set at head height for anyone that's taller than a kobold. Now, what I don't like about them is the whole ontologically evil end of the spectrum, where people are like, oh yeah, they're just evil minions, that's all they do. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's completely understandable.
Now, about their history, it all started when a small lesser god named Kurtlemock was a servant to the great goddess Tiamat. Now, it all kind of went haywire when this motherfucker named Garl Glitter
Will you forget the head-slicing thing?
Oh. These things are cool in practice, right? And their lore technically comes from Fizzbands, actually. They're found in Fizzbands. And the lore that's in here states that they're actually experiments by Tiamat. That is a fucking lie, actually, because technically, during her sessions with her consorts, she actually births Draco Hydras, which are really neat, until she eats them, because she's the only one who's allowed to be a Draco Hydra. Because why? Why can't we have fun things to play with in D&D? Why? And that's technically in the lore. Every time Tiamat gives birth to a multi-headed chromatic dragon, she eats it. And that's it. So Draco Hydras, if you're gonna put them in the game, are like supposed to be impossible to find because they do share a lot of similarities to both Hydras in the game and also Tiamat's ability to control all the heads of the dragon. So they're impossible to find in game, yet here they are in a essentially in a book that I can't even use. Like, I literally opened up to the fucking page for the Draco Hydras. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, it is a thing in here. It is a literal fucking thing in this book that I can't even bloody use. It's insane to me. Insane. Where's the Draco Hydra? Come on. There it is. Draco Hydras. As a result of arcane experimentation in depicting the recreation of Tiamat's power. That's just pure bullshit on this sprite. My god. I mean, the one thing that's cool about these suckers is the fact that if you cut off a head, 2 more grow back in its place, and they can be any number of chromatic colored dragon heads, which is really cool. Okay, I'll give you that, but like, in actual D&D lore, there are no other Draco Hydras allowed to be made except for Tiamat herself. She's the only one allowed to be multi-headed. That's it. Hydras, and they technically do exist, but they're not a dragon, so I don't know what the fuck she does with those.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Okay, welcome to the Lost Tape segment of this video, where I'm basically going to be talking about the undead. So, skeletal dragons. Not to be confused with another type of undead evil dragon. They basically are... they're dumb brutes. Let's put it at that. They do have the capability of flight, I'll give you that. And they're allowed to speak as well. But they have no natural spell abilities. They do not get their breath weapon. So, you're basically just getting chewed on by bones, essentially. And, well, and this is another big thing that I haven't talked about yet, is they have no fear aura. So, every time that you fight a dragon in Dungeons & Dragons, sometimes you might need to roll a wisdom save against it. Because all, at least gigantic dragons, or any type of dragon in D&D, has frightful presence to it. And if you fail on the save, then you are basically scared for a whole minute. Which is not fun, but that's what happens when you're fighting a dragon. You just shudder. You freeze up. Which is a really neat ability to use. But starting about skeletal dragons, they don't have this ability. Which is a damn shame, because now it's just basically you threw a giant skeleton at the group, and it's like... I get what you were going for, because the dragon's huge, but like... I could have just thrown a skeletal T-Rex in, and it doesn't make a damn difference at the end of the day.
Zombies.
Okay, zombies are worse. Technically, I don't even know which one's worse. The fact that this dragon is incapable of speech, incapable of spells, and now incapable of flight? And, okay, I guess there is one benefit to zombies, is that they at least have their breath weapon, but it's at half the damage. So it's like... skeletals and zombies are hard to, like, compare to. It's like... I guess let me ask you guys this question. It's mostly to the other dungeon masters out there. Would you rather have a dragon that uses its physical might to beat up the party, or would you rather have a dragon that uses their breath weapon like 90% of the time against your party? And for me, I prefer the breath weapon. So, zombies get that slight edge, but because their wings are broken, they don't get that movement of flight like skeletal dragons do. So I guess it's even between these two, that both of them are just really, really bad undead. And if you want to throw this type of undead shit against your party, I guess that's fine, but like, just throw a regular dragon at them.
We've got to have money.
Okay, these next two. Two different ways that, well, eventually when the party does kill a dragon, there's three things that could potentially happen. Number one, the dragon can just stay dead. Great. I love that. But these next two undead dragons are, well, interesting, to say the least. The first one being that a dragon is so greedy. Is so greedy about their horde that they literally cannot stay dead to protect that horde. And you basically get a hoarder. Wow. So, hoarder dragons basically protect their horde. And, they basically turn into a gold elemental dragon, if you will. And this is a very, very vague reference, but if you're a WoW player and you played during Battle for Azeroth, and you went through the Zandalari Temple to get to King Rusticon for that raid, you had to fight that gold elemental that's in there. That's basically what a hoarder dragon is that gold elemental. Which is cool. That's really cool. But sadly, they're another dragon that we almost know nothing about. We don't even know if they have their breath weapons still. They basically look incorporeal until all their horde is basically forming the shape of the dragon. Which I think is neat, but And now for the third type. So these are the dragons that die knowing that their favorite magical item was stolen. And what I mean by that is that they were still alive, they saw the person take the magical item, and then they died. So that's what we get. That's when we get a ghost dragon. Which, is fine. They're fine. They're the same thing as a hoarder dragon, except you can see their physical form. And, well, they are confined to their horde as well, but yeah. These guys don't really do anything. They're basically there to tell adventurers, hey, this guy stole my treasure, can you put this back, please? And that's it. They really don't do anything else. I mean, other than the fact that you're just fighting now a regular ghost, but it's a dragon instead, and it lacks its breath weapon. Well, I mean, it does have a breath attack, but it's not it's the dragon's breath, if you will. It's more like a necrotic breath weapon, if you can call it that, but I don't know, man. Ghost and hoarder dragons, they seem interesting on their own, because of course, adventurers are going to steal their treasure. Like, no shit. But, like, there's nothing, like, combat-oriented that you can work with. Roleplay, this is absolutely cool. But, like, combat-wise, they're just... it's fine. Okay, this one's interesting. Were-dragons. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute. Can't dragons transform into humanoids? And like I said with the chromatics, all the way back at the beginning of the video, chromatics don't have that luxury. They don't. And so, what's really funny about were-dragons, and this type of lycanthropy as a whole, is that, it's interesting how you even turn into these things to begin with. And, well, you obviously then turn into a chromatic dragon by night. Which, okay, fine. You're a humanoid during day, but then when the full moon hits, then you're a chromatic dragon. Okay. That's neat. And the way that you get turned is... it's interesting. Okay. You basically turn into one when you either get touched by a very powerful magical item, which... why the fuck would a magic item turn you into a were-dragon? That makes no sense. Or you're otherwise hit by wild magic. Which, okay, that's interesting, because wild magic is something that's randomly happens in Dungeons and Dragons, and I think that's a really neat mechanic to add on, but like... yeah, were-dragons are just interesting. I think they're pretty cool, but in all honesty, a lot of DMs just, when they play chromatics in their games, and I know I'm guilty at doing this, they're just allowed to transform anyway. It's like, it's so stupid to give only metallics this ability, but like, because if you want to make chromatics evil, like evil villains, then you're going to let them transform into humanoids. It just makes a better story, but like, come on, man. But this is like the only other way that I could think of that you could do this, is through a were-dragon.
Lost tapes. Vampire.
Why? Why? Why must vampires still haunt me? I can't do this, man. I can't do this shit. Vampire dragons are scary as fuck. I can't stress this enough. Vampire dragons are already a scary-ass boss. So, the only way that you're turned into a vampire dragon is if you get bit by another vampire dragon. So, there's your werewolf kind of feel to it. And so, not only that, but a lot of the same things that would kill a regular vampire don't kill a vampire dragon. Which is bullshit. That's bullshit! Of course they feed on blood, they're able to cast certain spells like vampires do. The only thing they're not weak to is the vampires rushing water and silver to an extent. They're not bothered by silver weapons. The only way you can kill a vampire dragon is either through a very, very large stake, which I find that to be hilarious. They just get a gigantic ass piece of fucking plywood and shove it into the dragon. That would be funny. I could totally see a Goliath do that. That's funny. Or direct sunlight. But here's the problem with that. They're not actually bothered by the sun until they're like standing out there for like an hour. If they're out there for a even prolonger period than an hour, then they'll start to basically disappear and hurt. So, by technicality, you can't kill a vampire dragon using the sun. Which is bullshit. That's bull. You mean to tell me another weakness that easily will kill a vampire doesn't easily kill a vampire dragon? Are you fucking kidding me? I swear to God, somebody's gonna be making a vampire dragon campaign just for me, and I'm gonna fucking hate that person. Because here's one more ability that these fuckers have access to. So, not only like regular vampires, they can create vampire spawn, which is basically what the vampires from Lost Tapes are. They're vampire spawn. Fuck that. But, vampire dragons also have the ability to create zombie dragons. Yep, that's it. I'm done. I had enough. I'm so sick of your bullshit, vampires. I'm so sick of your bull. Alright. Which now leads to the final dragon I want to talk about.
But you are lucky, for you alone get to gaze upon my glorious new body. The perfect weapon to destroy every Ashari village one by one.
Oh, how you thought a regular lich was bad enough. Turn that lich into a dragon. Holy shit. And what's even scarier is that the absolute strongest monster that you can fight in Dungeons and Dragons that's below deity level is technically a Dracolich. There is a Dracolich out there that's the strongest monster that you can fight, which is insane to me. It is insane. So, first of all, let's talk about Dracoliches as a whole. How are they even fucking created? So, with a skeletal dragon, their ritual for how they're made is you need to have like a sixth of their body, and you have to have like a special potion to make skeletals. So, making a skeletal dragon is pretty damn easy. But then you get to a Dracolich. Now, regular liches are easily able to do this whole process themselves. And Dracoliches, not so much. A dragon technically can't become a Dracolich all on its own. And so, the Cult of the Dragon, which I originally talked about when I talked about Tiamat, originally that was their purpose, was to turn dragons into Dracoliches. And that's it. Because they were the only set of people able to do it. And there's a whole complicated ritual to it, which the steps in which and like all the materials needed for that ritual to happen, well, they're still not revealed quite yet. Which makes me a little frustrated, because I would like to know how to make a Dracolich of my own, but I do know that they add at least a dragon control potion into the mix, because they want to control the Dracolich as soon as it dies and gets revived, which is interesting, but okay. And the phylactery, which is where the dragon's soul gets imbued with an item, has to be a gem. It has to be some sort of gem for its phylactery, whereas with a lich, it can mean literally anything. So, yeah, with liches, like, think of them in terms of Harry Potter, where Their phylactery can be literally anything, so like with all the Horcruxes Voldemort had, same thing. But with a Draco Lich, they don't have that luxury. You get to be a gem and that is it. So at least it narrows down that possibility, but the only problem is they collect several fucking gems that look exactly the same. So it's really hard to find a Draco Lich's phylactery. Because it looks like any other regular gem. That's the problem. So not only that, but they are able to revive themselves if there's another skeleton nearby, which Draco Liches will take plenty of fucking skeletons with them into their lairs. Hell, they are even able to use dinosaur skeletons for a period of time. Now, of course, that dinosaur doesn't have the dragon's abilities to it, which, I mean, that would have been cool, but it does, Draco Lich can turn into a skeletal T-Rex and then use that skeletal T-Rex to eat a portion of their body in order for them to come back as a Draco Lich. So imagine this, a Draco Lich turning into a T-Rex to eat its body, and then it uses the skeleton of the T-Rex for a period of time, and in which it's able to use its breath weapon then, which is kind of neat. Alright, I'm not gonna lie. Like, for the first time, like, when it enters that skeleton, it can't use any of its abilities, but as soon as it eats a bit of its body, yeah, then it's good to go. Or until it finds another dragon body, then it'll use the dragon body instead. But they have a necrotic fire, like they'll have necrotic breath weapons up until they get their original breath weapon back. Or, and this is the scary part, they learn multiple different breath weapons. Just fuck my life. So basically, if you go in, and let's say the Draco Lich that you're fighting is, say it's a red Draco Lich. And then it uses poisonous gas of a green, it uses the acid of a black, and it uses the lightning breath of a blue on top of its regular fire breath. Because just why do Draco Liches have this capability? But Draco Liches are insanely cool, and I've always wanted to run them too, but again, they're as broken as a regular Lich, except way, way worse. So that's why I try not to use Draco Liches, but I do really want to use one. I do. I just can't, because I know that would be OP as fuck to my players. Sadly. So you see what I mean when I talk about Dungeons & Dragons and their dragons as a whole. All of them are unique. I mean, a lot of them are pretty similar, but, like, all of them are unique to this setting, and that's what I'm so fascinated about dragons. At least in this series. In this series. You know what I mean? This is why I like dragons in Dungeons & Dragons, because they are so unique. That there's no argument when it comes to that. And I really hope I did a lot. I did do a lot of talking. And I'm kind of short out of breath here with all this talking, because it was a lot of dragons that I just went through in a short period of time. Now, obviously, there are other videos out there of people who talk far more exclusively about these types of dragons, which are really cool if you want to check them out. But hopefully you guys have learned something about each of the different types of dragons that are in Dungeons & Dragons that I personally find fascinating, or I just wanted to simply talk about them because fuck dragon turtles. But anyways, I want to give a huge shout out right towards the end to Solomon Pleasant, who presented me with this idea, because I grant you, he's going to be using a lot of these in his own Dungeons and Dragons game because I know you're a fucking DM. I know you are. I've seen your videos, mate. But I also want to give a huge shout out to Swords and Durnstein for their help for this video because, let's be honest, I couldn't have talked about kobolds better than Swords ever could. And given Durnstein's, you know, unique experience working with second edition advanced, yeah, Shadow Dragons are just fucked. Are just fucking broken as hell too. But yeah, that's me done rambling. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. If you liked it, leave a like, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite type of D&D dragon is, or any of the dragons that you found out in this video. Like, did you find any of them fascinating? Like, I want to hear your thoughts down below. And subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the D&D shit that I kind of post every now and again. And until next time, guys, I don't even think I need to fucking say it when I'm especially wearing this shirt.